On today's show, 76ers fans need to hear the honest truth on how this offseason has gone for Philadelphia. They made some decent moves there on the margins, but is it enough to truly say this team can be better in 2025, 2026? That's what we're talking about here on today's show. I'm Jake Chipper. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we get started, with one word only, I want you to get down in the comment section right now and describe this Sixers offseason, the moves they've made, trying to prepare for this upcoming year. One word only, and I'm going to challenge you a little bit. Give me one word to describe this Sixers offseason. Bleacher Report released an article where they used one word to describe every team's offseason, and their one word for the Sixers offseason, precarious, which basically means there's a lot of risk involved with what the Sixers have done, and it's looking a little bit sketchy with some of the moves they have made. They're not sure Philadelphia has really done enough to guarantee they'll be better than they were last season. Grant Hughes of Bleacher Report on this Sixers offseason. It's not so much that the 76ers offseason moves were shaky on their own. It's that the Sixers' entire operation continues to depend on the health of Joel Embiid and the effectiveness of Paul George. So, while drafting VJ Edgecombe, signing Jabari Walker and Trendon Watford, and getting opt-ins from Drummond and Kelly Oubre are all break-even or better moves in isolation, they still feel a little bit shaky. And that is, as I mentioned off the top, the unfortunate reality of this Sixers offseason and the honest truth with this team right now is that, yes, some of the signings they made, I like some of the signings they made. The draft pick of VJ Edgecombe, I was a fan of. Johni Broom's been showing some good signs. Like, they made some good moves on their own. But when you still look at this team as a whole, there's no denying that because of the health of Joel Embiid and the health of Paul George and the question marks behind those, there's just no guarantee that the moves they've made are really going to make a huge difference. Now, ideally, they get Quentin Grimes back in here, and this roster is looking a little bit more filled out, but still, because we have talked about in the show, Joel Embiid saying that they're taking things slower with his recovery as opposed to previous years, and he might not be ready for the start of the season. And then this new injury for Paul George, which Shams Charania reported could have had lingering issues, but they had the surgery to try to prevent that. We're already starting off the season with question marks, right? So Daryl Morey went out and made it a priority, right, to try to get younger, try to get more athletic this offseason, because he said last offseason he probably went too far in on getting veterans that he thought would perform when the postseason came around. He didn't do enough to actually get bodies that could be healthy enough to get the team to the postseason. Doesn't matter if you think you have the right squad for the playoffs if you can't even get there. So, I like the additions of a Trendon Watford, a Dominick Barlow, a Jabari Walker, VJ Edgecombe, Johni Broome to get younger, get more athletic, get different skill sets in here. Have they really done enough to overcome the fact that two of their most important players are still injury prone at the end of the day? And currently, as it stands right now, with Embiid saying they're taking things slower, with Paul George now getting this surgery, I'm not sure that they are significant enough additions to truly make a difference when you look at this team ultimately winning games in 2025, 2026. So it's unfortunate because I do like the moves again, but just not a whole lot to speak of when it comes to these injuries with Embiid and Paul George. Some more from Bleacher Report. There's also a positional glut at guard here. Tyrese Maxey, McCain, VJ Edgecombe, and restricted free agent Quentin Grimes still without a new deal. Could compete for minutes, and it's not clear which pair makes the Sixers most dangerous. Now, this is something a lot of Sixers fans have brought up, and I honestly don't agree that this is a big issue for Philadelphia. And a lot of Sixers fans would say, yeah, there's too many guards. And a lot of outside NBA fans who aren't fans of the Sixers would say, yeah, there's too many guards in that roster. I don't think it's an issue, honestly, because Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon, I don't think they're going to get a whole lot of minutes for this team. So you're looking at Tyrese Maxey, McCain, VJ Edgecombe, and Quentin Grimes, right? Assuming he does end up re-signing. I like how those guys all fit together. I assume you start Maxey and Grimes. Grimes is a great defender, great catch-and-shoot guy. Showed a lot at the end of the year. I think he plays very well off Tyrese Maxey. VJ Edgecombe, a rookie. So how much are you going to get from him right away? You can't really depend on that. And McCain's coming off a meniscus surgery, so you don't really know what he's going to provide either. But I really like the idea of Maxey and Edgecombe together, of Maxey and Grimes together, of McCain and Edgecombe or McCain and Grimes. Maxey and McCain together is a little bit sketchy, but I think you can even run like Maxey, McCain, or Maxey, Edgecombe, and Grimes at the same time. I think there's enough flexibility with those guys there to run some different lineups. So I think you always want to have some good guards on the floor. And I think that with the way that the roster is structured right now, it's really not an issue. To me, it's a good thing that they have all these guards because they will have enough minutes for all of them, especially with McCain coming off the injury, VJ, of course, being a rookie as well. Who would you play more minutes? If you're Nick Nurse, you got to decide these rotations for opening night. Who would you play more minutes? Jared McCain, give me JM down in the comment section. Or this is the rookie, 3rd overall pick, VJ Edgecombe. Type a VJ down in the comment section. More on this offseason from Bleacher Report. Losing Guerschon Yabusele thins the front court as well, putting even more pressure on Joel Embiid and Andre Drummond. This is just always a problem for Philadelphia. I don't think it's ever going to change. As much as they try to change it, this front court depth, specifically center depth behind Joel Embiid, just always an issue, and it always seems like there's more pressure on him than there needs to be, even when they've tried in the past to add different players to take that pressure off. Look, Andre Drummond, we'll see if he ends up being on this roster or not come the start of the regular season. At this point, I think he probably will be. But last year, he was hurt all year, just like everybody else was on the floor, tried to play through this mysterious toe injury that kept going away, coming back, going away, coming back. But even when he was out there on the floor, he didn't look very good. So I'm a little bit concerned Andre Drummond might be falling off a little bit, which would hurt even more on top of the fact that you lost Yabusele in the front court. You do have Item Bona, right? And Item Bona's looked pretty good, I would say, in Summer League. A little bit up and down, but again, just a year 2 player who was a second-round pick, still has some developing to do. I like what I've seen from him, and I think he can take a big leap this season. But is it enough to take a big enough leap that he can start a lot of games if Joel Embiid misses time and help you win games? Because played a lot last year, the Sixers team didn't win a whole lot last year. So although I like what he can be with his athleticism and his defense, he still has a ways to go, in my opinion, to be a truly highly impactful player. Now, Janiyah Broom's interesting, right? I was not a fan of the Broom pick at 35 for the Sixers. I thought his athleticism wouldn't translate. I thought the shooting was a weakness for him, and I just didn't see his skills in college translating to the NBA. But to his credit, he's been pretty good in Summer League. He's been shooting the ball from 3 very well in Summer League. That's the biggest swing skill for him. If he can knock down threes in the NBA, all of a sudden, he can really have a role. So we'll see if that does end up happening. He might have a bigger role than expected right away. Now, you kind of do assume you take a guy like Broom who had all this success in college. The plan is for him to get minutes right away and make an impact. I think he can make an impact right away, so that can at least lessen a little bit the loss of Guerschon Yabusele. But you also added some two-way guys, Dominick Barlow, Jabari Walker. Of course, you signed Trendon Watford as well to the roster, so we'll see if they can fill that void of filling in the front court, because the Sixers are an awful rebounding team last season. Got to fix that this year. Finally, from Grant Hughes, overall look in the Sixers here. Philadelphia could contend for a top 3 spot in the East, or they could come undone like they did last season and land in the lottery. That chasm between best and worst case outcomes will persist as long as Embiid is the focal point of the operation. Again, kind of back to what I was mentioning at the beginning, it's just the honest truth with this team. It's built around Joel Embiid, built around Paul George as well as Tyrese Maxey. So as long as Embiid is not out there on the floor, Daryl Morey can do whatever he wants with the surrounding pieces and build up this team as he sees fit. But at the end of the day, you have to have Joel Embiid healthy if you're going to be able to win games. So I think Bleacher Report kind of feels similar to me. Like a lot of the additions they've made, think that these signings were smart for the most part, outside of maybe an Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. But at the end of the day, if Embiid isn't ready to go, if Paul George isn't ready to go, it's just not going to be the season that you're hoping for. So we're praying for good health this season so that it doesn't end up like last year, because that was painful. Be honest with me. How confident are you in this 76ers team right now heading into next season? Give me a 1 through a 10. 1 being you have no confidence, 10 being you have all the confidence in the world. Let me know down in the comment section. Once again, appreciate you tuning in to today's show, and we'll catch you next time right here on 76ers Now.